Good to see you, sir. So, as our DMS audience knows, we rarely have agency execs up here because this is a conference about technology. And historically, right, service delivery, oil and water, at least historically. But I think you guys are and others, but I think you're leading the charge in making a difference. You've had an exceptional track record run of client wins, and your commitment to technology, both building and buying, has sort of a little bit separated you from the pack. So that's why I wanted to have this conversation here at DMS. This goes back to, I mean, I'm sure it goes back even longer, but in 2018, our tour stood up and said, we're not going to Cannes, and we're going to take that money and invest it in our own homegrown Marcel AI technology. And then you followed that up with a series of acquisitions of technology and data companies to build a very differentiated approach to the marketplace under the premise that you were fundamentally going to change a holding company business model to being more of a platform. Seems to be working.
You've done I don't think you answered the question any better. That's a great pitch. I think that you've taken our story, but certainly at the time we were definitely picked on for sitting out at Cannes one year, which I recommend everyone sitting out at Cannes one year is probably a good thing. So I regardless of that, and certainly from a financial standpoint, and it was a great decision. I also think it reset us about what was our focus going to be. And if you think about what we've really changed is certainly, if you go back, even I was studying my 25th year of Publicis, which is crazy. I got an email recently that I didn't realize was actually been 25 years. But if you look at back where we were, more than 60% of our revenue was coming from creative services. That's now closer to 12%. 12. So if you start looking at how our business has fundamentally changed from a standpoint, and we made a decision that we were not going to do stock buybacks. We were going to invest, roughly what we've invested into Sapient, into Epsilon, into Influential, into Mars United, into a host of other, and I'll talk about a little more of an M&A strategy, but of we're a host of different technologies from both the consulting side into really the ad tech, MarTech stacks. That is basically the same amount in terms of we've now invested $12 billion into data and tech products. There was a moment, of course, when we were there in 2020, where we had just purchased Epsilon. Our stock had dropped to about a market cap of $6 billion, and we had paid 4.8 for Epsilon. Didn't seem like the best deal on earth at that moment, but certainly we stuck with it, and I think that's part of what makes Publicis special. We're 100 years next year. We have only had 3 CEOs. I think we have a lot of stability, and I think that's really helped us get through kind of that time. And then certainly, yes, the track record's been very good. And I think it's certainly the strategy was right, but I think probably the reason for such a good track record is we've also really invested in people. Yep. We have a saying that we like to say about how we organize things, which is no silos, no solos, no bozos. And I think it's easy to buy a lot of companies. The hard part's actually integrating. And I think very often you can buy a company, you can make an acquisition, and you bolt it on, and it almost creates another silo. So you had 4 silos, now you have 5 silos. And sometimes it's because of how you set the earnout up, sometimes it's just because of the culture is so different. So I think one of the things that we really make sure in the process is getting the right culture right, getting the right integration plan. And we've not been perfect by any stretch of imagination, but it sounds like a funny statement Maurice made, I think it was 2016, it was really around how to bring things together. And I still think about it today when I think of when we're doing an integration, that we got to break down those silos or some of those solos or bozos that need to go, and we need to make those decisions. And that's something that we talk about quite often.
But the strategy, to invoke that strategy, as you mentioned, is not for the faint of heart, right?
No.
And to migrate towards a platform is from a almost pure services model, necessary because the ecosystem is asking for it. The clients sort of need the integration of those capabilities. But how do you measure your progress towards becoming is it operating leverage? Do you just look at market cap? I doubt it. No. Client feedback? What's the measure?
I think that the easy measure is from a client standpoint in terms of winning. I mean, it's the market cap has got a lot to do with many things that we have zero control over. Yesterday we went up 10% as everyone else did, and I don't think that was any genius move by our part. So I think that it certainly, I actually say we're probably least focused on the stock. If you look at most of our senior executives been here for a long time, people are not determined by the stock price. So I don't think that's one. But certainly, we wanted to make sure that we were disproportionately winning more business from clients in a more integrated way. And the second thing that we've done more recently is even connected media, which is my new title, which we just changed titles around. But the connected media is really bringing these things together and even breaking down a different P&L. So what connected media is in terms of where we're going from really being past the platform companies, we're moving more into the AI world, where we have actually tried to say is we've been a leader in paid media for a really long time. I'll talk from a U.S. perspective. It's true globally, but certainly the U.S. is where most of this innovation and technology and investments have started. We've been a leader in paid media for a long time. We've always had a strong business in CRM, but we really need to improve where we were in influencers while we were influential. We need to improve where we were in commerce. And bringing those four things together is really in terms of how we make this, in terms of we're looking from an M&A standpoint, how do we keep connecting those pipes between media, commerce, influencer, and paid media together is what we've really been able to do. And the ability for clients to not think of, well, this is a different agency, should I be doing more in CRM, and not taking away that kind of siloed feeling from a client perspective has also been kind of one of the key things of even the last quarter, the last year on continuing to win those assignments. Because I think most clients, when they call a media review, don't really want a media review. It's not just purely like, oh, and I think if you go back 20 years ago, yes, we want a better price, we want a better whatever, but most clients, the reason they're pulling a media review, and sometimes they're purely financial, but most of the time they're usually at an inflection point themselves, looking for how do they transform their business. They know that their business has been disrupted, and I think what Sean was saying was exactly accurate in terms of how clients are going through. They want to be connected to these things. They know they need to change. They know they need a solution that the current spray and pay method is not going to work. Right. So how do we use identity? How do we use those things to drive our business decisioning outside of just marketing? And then the final thing I'll say is, if I will go back 20 years, we had 4 clients that bought and sold media. If you go back 20 years, we now have like 50 clients that buy and sell media because of the effect of retail media, effect of those things. It's all part of a very changed ecosystem of how do they even structure their companies? How does the sales and their operations work together? How does CRM affect it from an auto perspective or from a CPG standpoint? All of those things are kind of helping us, and this is really where we've been the center and are able to give clients advice on those issues in a different way from our competitive set today.
I got to imagine your interaction with clients is changing dramatically, as some of them, as you mentioned, are in-housing, buying their own media. Yep. So they kind of need you for different reasons. When you pitch Power of One, your data spine strategy, have you noticed that Are clients now asking for that in RFPs for these new pitches?
Yeah, I think the funny thing is we have 300 enterprise clients. We have 300 different client relationships. I mean, there is not a single way, and there's no way we say to a client, this is the right way to do it. This is the best way to do it. There's different reasons clients want to in-house from. They want to own the data contracts, or they're becoming a media seller and they want to be able to learn from the overall media spend to use that data for decisioning. Or it might be in terms of, I'll pick on the auto category, they want to be able to spend less in paid media and more in CRM. They want to be able to own that customer journey, and that's what those reasons are. We don't really have a set way. So there's some clients where they've brought the programmatic buying in-house, but they use all of our hands-on keyboards who then get rebadged. There's situations where we can do it more efficiently outside of the US market that they want to take advantage of. There's all of those different reasons. And what I think we try to do is what are you trying to get to? Is this an outcome decision? You want to use this information to help your supply chain ordering? Or you want to use this information for pricing? Or that you want to lower what you're giving consumers in coupons and incentives, but you need to bring those things together to a decision. So once we kind of get to that, sometimes it takes a while to figure out, well, we want to in-house because we want to save money. Well, that's not really a great reason because you probably won't save money.
Right.
But where we have that conversation and again, that's why we have the 300 different options. They've all kind of happened over time. Some will actually bring a number of things in-house and then bring it back. Yeah. It has had very little effect on our overall revenue, but our relationship has certainly changed, and I think mostly for the positive. Most of our clients that we have, they have an in-house arm, are some of our closest client relationships. Right. We would have thought differently when it first started. Go back 10 years ago, oh, they're bringing us in-house. It's going to be, I've heard many years it's the end of the agencies, right, or whatever that answer would be.
Yeah. Rashad pointed out they're cockroaches.
We're good. We're good. We're good. It's good. So yeah, that's some of the reasons.
Got it. So you adopt the priorities of your customers.
Absolutely.
As whatever. AI. You guys were early from an agency perspective. It's of course now table stakes. Where do you see this going? Are we going to be in a purely agentic world, or do you still think it's a co-piloted with manual oversight?
It's certainly a co-pilot situation. I think it's often we take these leaps. There's a number of things that we do today that we couldn't do even a year ago. So if you look at it from, if a client wants 40 different versions of a plan in 1 hour, we can do that. We could never have done that. That was weeks. So the ability to be more flexible is absolutely incredible in at both speed and the things about, I would love to figure this out, but we don't have time. Now we can do those things. So from a speed perspective, an accuracy perspective, I'm talking from a media perspective first. And then the other side, I think Sean said, we've been doing AI with Google, with ourselves, with many of our partners for years. This is not like this is not a new thing. This has been, from a media perspective, I think where we would see on the creative side, there's a number of jobs that no one wants to do that would be great. There's no one that wants to write legal copy for pharma ads. I mean, maybe, I haven't met anyone yet, but I don't think anyone wants to write legal copy for pharma ads, but certainly want to make sure that QA is perfect. We want to make sure that it's done accurately. We got to talk about the amount of versioning. So it's allowing us to do a number of things faster, certainly more things, more accurate. And will it get to the true creativity? Maybe, but I don't see that this is where the co-pilot thing happens today. And the clients are certainly able to all the versioning. But again, I think somebody's make a bigger deal out of this major change when a lot of these things have been happening for quite a long time. This is not a complete, even an agentic side. Yeah.
Right. Do you see this happening across the agency industry? All the others are going to pursue similar.
We all have an inevitable strategy to move towards a more automation. And if you look at it from that perspective, again, we've been doing these things, and I say we as an industry. This is not just Publicis. Right. We believe that we are further ahead than others on a number of places. We believe at the end of this, in the middle of this, is in order to use AI, you need to have it run on something. The reason Google is unbelievably good at AI is they have a massive data underneath it. We believe in our underlying data asset of Epsilon. We believe in terms of the ability to connect identities. At some point, you have to go connect to something. Yep. Just doing AI without any data behind it or identity behind it, there really is I'm not sure where they're going with that. But I do believe that it is an industry. This is going to be absorbed in very similar ways. I think we have a distinct advantage right now. We're going through a lot less change. I know you've talked about the changes we're making.
Yeah.
A lot of those changes happened 10 years ago. We're going through a lot less change than everybody else. So we certainly have at a moment in time a distinct advantage.
You have publicly committed to doing $1 billion in acquisitions this year.
Yep. Something
us investment bankers love to hear.
Yep.
Don't give us ticker symbols, but what will guide your priorities in terms of where you want to invest?
Yeah, I think that we've talked about this a bit already, and I got to be careful, like Sean was on, if I want to answer some legal questions of who I've been subpoenaed by this week. But the main structure for us is we are going to in anything inside the connected media realm. So if you're talking about from a media perspective, a CRM perspective, an info perspective, a commerce perspective, any way that we can continue to improve those 4 areas and the connections between those 4 areas are very important for us.
Great non-answer. Okay, so
I gave you 4 answers.
Connecting, right?
We've already spent $500 million this year. Exactly. We've announced it. So
all right, you got the other half to go. Dave Penski.
Thank
you very much.
Appreciate it.